The Kit Man!
Hoy lads, the Saudis are coming. The Saudis are coming. Grab your footballers. Grab them while you can. Hug them dear, because they've been taken left, right and centre by the Saudi League. Lads, myself and I might as well introduce Jack to my left.
Hello.
How's it going, Jack? That's crack. We have a guest on, an old mate of ours as well tonight, Nigel. He doesn't have much social media presence, but he's on Twitter. But yeah, we're just gonna run through a few things tonight, man, and what we think about the Saudi League, what we think it entails for the future, personally and realistically. So getting into it. So the amount that there was a lovely follow of ours, Rory. Yeah, he put it up on Twitter to tag us in something there earlier, and Jack, if you want to bang that up there for a sec, it's he put up.
Yeah, we'll get to his comments in a quick second.
Okay, sorry.
The show. I put a screenshot on the Twitter post of the biggest players that the 4 PIF-owned teams have made. The New York Times report that they want each to have at least 3 big players as well. Big up there, Andrew, as well. How are we, matey? And big up chat. Big up Carl as well. Obviously, early. Love to see it, Carl. Massive thank you for jumping in. Yeah, but we'll quickly jump over to what obviously Rory did show us on Twitter. Really do appreciate it, Rory, as well. Kev, you want to go through that, miss? And then, can you see? Yeah. Yeah,
I can see. Yeah. So Jack Spider, looking forward to the show. I had a quick look at the 4 clubs owned by PIF out of the 16-team league. Here are the biggest players. So far, they've got Ronaldo, Benzema, Firmino, Neves, Koulibaly, Savage, and Mendy. And I suppose you could throw Brozovic and all of these guys into the fray as well that are going over there. Yeah. No, it's absolutely nuts when you come to think of it. Like, I mean, first of all, like, from a personal point of view, what do you think they're trying to achieve? Now, he said they want 3 big players from the league, right? Or for each team in the league. But is that just for the PIF-owned teams, or is that an allowance for every team in the league? You know, that's my thing. Like,
I'd say it was probably all of them. I don't know how you feel, Nigel or Chas, but I think that's the rumours that have been circulating in relation, because obviously with the Saudi royal family or just the wealth of the country, really, I think they are very much, it's the community in which they come from as well. They want to help each other out, and I think as the whole of the league itself, I think they'd very much case in point of probably help each other out. I think that part of the world, it's very. They think about one another as well, and they like to help each other out. I don't think it's that, like, you look at the way I look at the Premier League, everyone's just so selfish. But in terms of the ownership structure, well, that's how football should be. But I think in terms of just getting that up and running in terms of the league, I think they'll very much help each other out in certain aspects and certain elements in terms of funding, or whether that be recruitment of players as well, mate.
Yeah.
How is it though, lads? We seem to get to deal with the Saudi FSG.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, there we go.
We get 2 transfers that might involve money, and suddenly they're paying installment.
Yeah, like was it Chelsea? Chelsea have been selling all their players for the last couple of weeks. Anyway,
yeah.
I'll have a quick look in terms of some of the players as well in relation to, this is a great article from ESPN. Who's the author? Oh, wait 1 second. Anyway, this was from Will Jabir, I think it was. Yeah, pick up there, matey, the link for this. But in terms of, obviously, as Roy's alluded in some of that, but I'm having a look at certain the players that have definitely rejected. You look at Neymar has been linked with Al Hilal. Ziyech has gone to Al Nassr. Well, he failed his medical anyway, but Bernardo Silva's been linked to Al Hilal as well. Saul, obviously, Atletico Madrid midfielder. Wilfried Zaha, currently a free transfer. He reportedly made a £30 million bid per year offer. Obviously, with him being on a free transfer, but Paul Pogba's been linked. Fabinho, of course. Players that have rejected as well, lads, as well in chat. You look at Messi, via accounts, rumoured he was linked to Al Hilal for a big money move. Looked like it was a $436 million per year contract. which is absolutely astronomical, really. Mourinho's turned down Al Hilali down as well. Heung-min Son rejected, Modric, Jamie Vardy rejected. Obviously, one of the young Brazilian lads as well, Pedro from Flamengo. Mitrovic, that bid has been rejected by Fulham, but not the player as well, mate. But I don't know how you lots feel in chat. Let us know.
All right, to me, I kind of see it as a glorified Legends League. I've been saying it on the Spider LFC channel. It kind of just went a bit nuts in the last few days on it, and about this specific topic, and especially about Henderson. A lot of people saying that he's not worth the money, and okay, so there's a lot going on and talking about the morale factor and all of this and that. The other people deserve the money better and all, but that's not the case. I mean, let's think of it realistically. For us to fund the people that actually like or for us to actually fund the people that deserve the money, you're talking about taking 20% out of our own wages each to put back into your doctors and your nurses, your emergency, on top of your tax. Not just if they have to make the same money, this is what you're looking at from every single person. Problem is, people don't pay for emergency services unless they need them. And that's as simple as that. And that's what you're coming down the line to. So it's a pointless comparison. So let's get that comparison out of the way straight away. Football is massively funded across all boards, everywhere. And, there's an endless bit of money pretty much there, a constant return of money. But for me, it is a bit of a Legends League. Now, a lot of people are saying, the Saudi League is coming and it's going to take over and there's going to be, the Premier League is going to lose out and it's going to be the main league to go to and all of that. No, it's not. It's really not. Whatever big player leaves a Premiership team and goes, we'll still watch our teams in, week out. It'll still be the biggest one shown on TV. Nobody will care when they leave. It's the same when you watch Hulk and Fellaini and who else? They went off to China. Oscar and all these guys that went off to China. The minute they left, they were never heard of from again. This is what happens. You leave the best leagues in the world and you're left there. So for me, it's a Legends League. People saying it's going to take over. It can't. It really can't. No, if you wanted to stop it from getting to that fact, I put it into the chat yesterday and today that there's ways around it. Not with the current crop of players, but there's ways around doing it in the future. Under the guise of developmental clauses and stuff like this, where if this player has been developed within a certain body, i.e. UEFA, and they've funded all of his upbringing, funded all of his training, done all of this, in with the club or whatever club it is, UEFA has to put sanctions on clubs to say that this player has to stay within the UEFA body for a certain period of time. Whether it's, the payback process, let's say, put it in inverted commas, of, let's say, 7 years or something like that, the length of a contract and a half, if you want to go down that road. And then eventually they would say, okay, so if you want to go on before a certain age, we want to be reimbursed in the payment to this, blah, 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 and there's ways around it, that red tape that these bodies can do. A lot of people say, no, they can't stop a player from going to X, Y, and Z and whatever. They can't stop a player now going to X, Y, and Z, but they can stop a future player with a fresh contract when they're coming up. They can stop a kid creating or having their first senior contract with a club. They can have it in there in the fine print. This is related to, you must stay within the UEFA body for a period of however long. So it doesn't matter where he gets sold to in Europe or in around Europe or within UEFA, as long as it's there will be for the betterment of football.
Yeah, there will very much be a stance, mate, and big up Nigel. Obviously, Nigel, I think, just lost connection there, but hopefully
Nigel's on the tablet, so sometimes it goes.
Yeah. But big up to Rory as well. Chat, keep on getting your comments in as well. Make sure you are smashing that like button as well. Massively does help out in terms, obviously, we're only quite a very small channel as well, so really do appreciate every single one of you popping in this evening. But get your comments in, get your questions as well that you want to ask the chat. Ask Nigel or me or Kev or whatnot, and we'll try our best to answer them anyway. But big up there, Dory. Obviously, the New York Times article says that it's the free player for each of the 4 PIF teams. and then a further 8 players across the remaining 12 teams. Steven Gerrard's team is not a PIF team, but you would expect he gets funds. Nigel, how would you just let us know your thoughts on what we already said there? If that is the true extent, really, of the league, how would you anticipate say, as Rory's alluded to, the other, like you say, if there's 8 big marquee players for the other 12 remaining teams, how do you think that's going to be differentiated, really, mate, or split amongst each other? Is it going to be a case in point of whoever owns these clubs in terms, as we spoke about at the top of the show, the hierarchy within the families, or in terms of the league, in terms of who's more or less pally with certain other clubs? But money's no object, as we know, as Kev alluded to with the Chinese league, other leagues, the MLS back when they had Pele, and the back in the day when they were trying to sign everyone. And we've seen leagues try this. But just a thought on what Rory said there, Nigel.
It just seems to be kind of, we have money, we can try and do what we want. You can't do anything about it. It seems kind of very top heavy or something. You know, the certain teams have the wealth or the big players, and the other teams, actually, we'll do a drip down, and you can have such and such a lad that's coming over, and he's like 45 years old and one leg, kind of. I just don't think this. It doesn't seem feasible, like. But it's because they've got money. It is feasible at the moment. That's all it is. It's these lads throwing their wealth around.
I think they're picking up scraps.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll be honest with you.
scraps at the minute, boys. But I'm not that I'm loving it, but it's almost a case in point of typical Premier League, typical La Liga as well. These leagues that they've sat at the table and dined at the table for far too long. In all honesty, in my point of view, really, boys and chat, like this is more or less karma coming well and truly for the other leagues, because the Saudis haven't dined at that top tier of European football, but the likes of Premier League, La Liga, Serie A back in the early 2000s, they've absolutely destroyed their league. They didn't reinvest that. The likes of Maldini, the legendary Serie A players, R9 when he was there as well. Like they and look at La Liga as well. They have absolutely destroyed that league. Well, Real Madrid and Barcelona, due to the sheer selfish nature of the bigger teams. But I think we are in the Premier League in a very lucky position that our league is as wealthy as it is, but it's very well run, but it's at the expense of the fans, in all honesty, mate. But
yeah,
I don't know how you lads feel, but I think this is almost karma for the rest of European football. Because if there's a bigger league than every single team, every league in Europe, money's no object. But if you start hand-picking and cherry-picking, you mentioned scraps there, Kev, but at the end of the day, you start off with your starters in a main course or whatnot, and then you build it up. I think it's only the start, really, for me, mate.
Yeah, there is going to be some surprises with fellas that are going to leave and not leave, but you hit the nail on the head there when it came to. I was going to mention the fact that I think most of the leagues that are in the top 5 leagues will probably get decimated in the near future. I think they could be in danger of losing some of their best players. The Premier League can lose a lot of the Premier League could lose a lot of middle tier play. Let's call them your Ruben Neveses, and they can lose a lot of your Mitrovic's, as I say now, they're being linked with. Fabinho is probably going to be the most high caliber player that's still able to play when he goes to leave and go to there from the Premier League. I think everybody else is over the hill and past it and whatever, but still, Fabinho at a 70% level in the Premier League is still 120% level in the Saudi league. So he's going to be arms and lengths above anybody else over there. And I, as a Liverpool fan, and just going towards Liverpool now, because I know this is like based around the Premier League setup on this channel, but as a Liverpool fan, I'm glad if this league comes about like a Legends League rather than trying to compete with the Premier League or anything like that, because it means that teams like us who have just been letting people go on free transfers for the last number of years and not making any money back off them, and and not seeing good dividend that way, will finally make some money off some players leaving. So I said that if the club were thinking about getting rid of Henderson, why not Thiago as well? Why not just call it all and just go and bring in the youth and the high quality players there and let Klopp mold them and give them the opportunity, give them the responsibility of playing, and keep the rest of the senior players there to guide them. But if you've got players that are like, because I mean, Jordan Henderson was definitely available for at least 20 more games minimum than Thiago is each season. And as good as Thiago is, I think you turn around to him and you put him in front of the Saudi league and they're paying 60 million off the what is he, 30, 31, 32? So like 32. Okay, so if you're talking about 40 million for a player who's 29 and only plays in a mediocre level, you're surely talking the same amount of money for a player that's 3 years older and is vastly superior in quality. No matter how much you get out of him in the season. You got to do that kind of balance there. But for me, you could easily get a 40 to 60 million for a Thiago going over there. Henderson should be exactly the same. I'd like Henderson to stay. He's our captain. And I think if one person deserves to finish out their Liverpool career and walk away, out of all the ones I have done, it was definitely Jordan Henderson, because I would like to see him staying on afterwards and maybe getting into a coaching role or something like that. But fair dues to the guy. He got enough stick down through the years, and he's he deserves the payday, to be honest with you, out of everybody that's in that team.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody getting as much stick as he gets.
Oh,
yeah.
We signed him right back when we signed him. They started him playing on the right hand side. And I remember saying to some of my friends, I like Henderson. I thought he was a good signing for us. But because Gerrard was playing, who played him on the right hand side, and he just looked completely like a fish out of water. And as soon as he was moved into the middle, he looked a better player. And has done. He's done very well for us down the years. But as soon as people started knocking him, it grew and grew and grew and grew again. Like we've said it before, I'd love to have seen Fabinho playing with these two new guys in the middle of the field, because he's been run around the place the last 3 years, asked to run, which is not his game. His game is sit in the middle, break up play, pass the ball. Not run 20 or 30 yards or play centre half. That's just, it's not his game. And he was asked to do it for 3 years, and it had to come to a breaking point when these lads who have been asked to play out of positions or not play their natural game are going to suffer for it. And we have.
Yeah. 100%, mate. 100%. Obviously, in terms of chat as well, keep on getting your comments in. Make sure you are smashing that like button and the subscribe button if you are new around here. As we know, the kit men, I know we do our Liverpool stuff, but as we done with the lads last week, I enjoyed that. A very good Premier League show. Hopefully that'll be coming around very soon. Me and Kev are doing the background for that as well. Looking forward to it. Getting the panel of the Prem and Liverpool will always be what I watch, even if all the top players from all the top teams go to Saudi. It makes no difference, as we'll still be competitive against each other as well. Did you see? Yeah, we're seeing Andrew. More Premier League talk, Jack. Come on. You're talking about 20 top players being there in any one season. It's not going to have a big impact in Brian's opinion. A big noise now, but it will settle down soon. Thoughts on that, Kev, in relation to what Brian said there, matey?
You're talking about 20 top players being there in any one season. It's not going to have a big impact. No. Yeah, he's right. He's right in that way. I know I have to disagree with Brian when it comes to the 30% on Henderson's ability, because I think his ability is not basically fully with his feet, even though he can pass a great ball. He was one of our best passers in the team a few seasons ago. But it's his ability to read the game and read everybody else's positions and then instruct the entire team of where the gaps are, where to fill them, what to do. It's great being vocal on the pitch and just telling everybody get back or whatever. But he was a guy that tended to see a bit of danger before it happens. And then, slap him on the back. It's because of just how his mannerisms are and how he conducts himself that a lot of people just don't take him that seriously. But he's But he really is. I mean, it's probably come down to the same mindset that Fergie had about him, saying that he couldn't run. He ran weird, was it? Is that the name?
Yeah. Because he had a strange gait. Was the
Strange. We call it a
I
gag.
don't think he can get as far as he has on 30% ability.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Henderson's a good player.
Especially
No,
in modern
I'd say
day
so.
football as well, though, lads. Like players, and you don't stay at Liverpool unless you didn't have the right attitude. Like, in all honesty. But enough about Henderson. This is Saudi talk, anyway.
Saudi
John.
talk. It is.
Yeah,
It is.
let
Although Henderson is the thumbnail.
Good
So
man.
apologies for I wasn't trying to make him look greedy or anything, you know. It's his payday. Take it.
Good. It's and obviously as well, we'll keep a football talk as well, chat if we can. But big up there, Bri. Nigel, who is in relation to the Saudi League chat? Let us know, Roy and the lads in the comments. Who do you think is the biggest benefactor in relation to the Saudi League? Is it going to be the fans in other leagues, owners in other leagues, or whatnot, or is it very much the middlemen in terms of the agents in modern day football?
Oh yeah, I think it has to be. It has to be those guys. These guys are offering these massive contracts, and these leeches are coming in and sponging off there. Like guys like Matt Busby and Bob Paisley and Bill Shankly would have strangled these guys with their bare hands. Like these little worms coming in and saying, "Oh, this is my player. I want a 20% sell-on fee here, and a 50%, and 100% on image rights, and you can't do anything with his face on it without talking to me and giving me a couple of million quid." It's just thought, the thought of these guys getting paid for being scumbags is that unfortunately that's the way football has gone, and players can't represent themselves. I know there's a lot of families involved and like that, but God, it's sickening, really.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, the only benefactor I see out of all of this is aging players finishing off their careers and looking after their grandkids, and people of Saudi Arabia and the surrounding area that get to see legends play a game of football, in their lifetime live, week in, week out in their homeland, which is, I think, the whole benefit of why they want this. I think because of the vast richness of Saudi Arabia, I don't think they believe themselves that they can become the biggest league in the world. For one thing, because they won't have the biggest clubs in the world there. So that's the difference. And none of these clubs are involved in any competition that has any merit in European and world football. So, I don't understand what kind of trophy would be compared to the Champions League or even the Europa League from that neck of the woods, and what league title would be in comparison to the Premier League or La Liga or any of these Serie A titles. It doesn't matter how big they get. I still believe that there'll still be a secondary exhibition league, let's call it, but a very rich one.
Just a quick point there, Spider, on that. When the World Club Championships are played, they at least have done for the last few years, you get the kind of semi-finals. It used to be kind of between the European champions and the South American champions, but now suddenly it's branched out, and you've got kind of Monterrey and lads like that. Yeah. But you've also got those guys, Al Hilal and people like that, playing in the semi-final. Now, I'm sure we all know how they got there.
Yeah.
Suddenly bought themselves into the semi-finals of that thing. So I suppose they saw the bit of exposure they were getting.
Yeah.
And then I decided to try and cash in on the top table, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think they're doing it towards like continental trophies. I mean, your continental trophies, your Champions League, your what's the South American version of Champions League, Libertadores. Yeah, so you got those guys that win that one. You got the other guys that are. I think there's an Asian one, isn't there? That's over there, and then you got these guys in the Middle East. So I think that's the way they look when they're coming into that tournament, which is good, and that's a great way to showcase these teams and have names and stuff like that. But as for playing football there, week in, week out, you can't play at a massive level in that heat all the time and then expect to be able to go on and play international footballs and extracurricular competitions. And there's so many factors into it, which is why I think that it's just an exhibition Legends League. An actual league, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to denounce it in one way, shape or form, but it's not it'll attract the biggest players at a certain age when they're past where they believe they can get to. I actually, when I said it myself, I'm surprised that Lukaku hasn't gone there yet. I'm surprised, that is Pogba gone there? Did he go there yet?
Potentially,
Potentially. So yeah, it's surprised if all of these guys haven't gone there yet, because they're just at a point in their careers that they're not doing well there. And with the recent uptake in situation around Dele Alli and this kind of stuff with his documentary and thing, I'm surprised that if Everton don't hold on to him and he doesn't get a club, that he doesn't go there either. It's just it's all of these kind of things, just situational players that got themselves into bad situational areas but are still highly talented in their own way. But yeah, I know.
I'm surprised they're not selling Lukaku by the kilogram.
Yeah. But look, you can talk like we said, even to kind of go in comparison to the boxing and the golf and all of this kind of thing. I'll be honest with you, lads. You can't compare boxing and golf to football.
No,
because the football passion that's within each stand of every club is what makes football, regardless of the players. You can take a boxing match and stick it anywhere, and you can still watch it on TV. You can probably say the same about football, but you won't get the same atmosphere. You won't get the same sounds around the stadium. You won't get the same what makes football. You won't get the same feeling of passion at home when you're watching it even on TV. So I don't understand where they think, they've taken over golf, and it's pretty easy to take over golf, lads, with a bit of money. The lads that still play the same game, it'll be on the TV. The only time you see a handful of fans around is when they're just around the green at the end, and any of these guys can stand there because they're not really supporting a team or anything. They're just supporting the sport in general.
Bit like the F1 as well. Like only drivers that have got a lot of wealth behind them. You look at some of the certain drivers within F1. I think there's a fella that Luke, you'll know in the chat, mate. If it is Luke, pick up but there's a driver that drives one of them, and I think it's only because his dad owns the company. Obviously, he might be a very good driver, but hence with all that exposure and very much the resources, really.
Yeah. Just for a little bit of contrast there, lads. You were saying about the teams and all this. Well, some famous people have been quoting us this for years when people want to leave our club. This here, the badge on the front matters more than the name on the back.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia might be a little bit the other way around.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is, like, because if you look at it, most of the followers of people that are like Ronaldo followers or Messi followers or this and that, they're not team supporters. When you see people bigging up Ronaldo, Messi, any of these guys on Twitter, on these places, they don't follow specific teams. They follow where that player goes, and then they buy that jersey for that team. And that's why I call it like soap opera fans, because they follow the celebrity rather than the football. They couldn't tell you one of the week what the sport is about. They couldn't tell you that. It's just these kind of things happen. They're the Kardashians of football, the Kardashian fans of football supporters, what I call them in a way. It's just the element of the fantasy of the player and not the actual, what team they support or anything like that. And that happens a lot over, in Africa and down in the Middle East and stuff like that. There's a lot of genuine supporters over there. But the majority of times people switch clubs and allegiances to who's the best at that time. And it's been well known and documented like that for years and years. So it's,
Yeah.
But for me, these guys just want fantasy players and they want to see them in jerseys regardless of anything, and then they'll take their photographs and they'll go home and they'll do week in, week out, and they'll sell tickets, and these superstars get to go around with all the owners of these clubs and take photographs and and promote their brands and do all, and that's what it is. It's yeah.
I was going to say there, Kev, like, and lads and chat, they're trying to do what football has done in England for like the last 130 years and very much do it in a year. They might catch up by an extra 30-40%, as Kev's alluded to there, but it's absolutely impossible. Like, got a couple of great comments as well from the Rodian panel. We'll get through them anyway.
Except for Redbirds, last comment.
Football is going to explode one of these days anyway, in my opinion, when the grounds are empty and the people don't want to pay extortionate prices for subscriptions to watch it on TV and can't afford the kits and jerseys. I know me and Kev, I think me, Nigel, it will probably do something on that this season, especially on this channel anyway, with it being Premier League. 100%.
They need a football Netflix.
Yeah.
And once they do that, and that's a subscription. Like, I don't want to be paying for Sky Sports all the time because I have no interest in golf. I barely watch the boxing, and if I do watch the boxing, sometimes it's on my local channel in Ireland anyway, if it's a big enough game. But like, if you know, I don't watch any of these sports most of the time, so I don't have a care. I just don't care about watching it. If I had my choice, I would knock them all in the head and check the results on my phone. But I'd want to watch football on TV. So for me, if they did like a Netflix style football thing where, you know, they came in and bought the rights out to every sports game and you paid your, what is it, $15.99 a month to be able to watch it. I think every person, even $19.99 a month, I think every person would watch it, and then you'd probably see no TV companies getting their money because, you know, it's because we wouldn't need it. I mean, I don't watch normal TV. I watch Netflix at home most of the time, or I watch these TV shows that I catch up with. But when it comes to football and stuff, that's the only thing I would sit down as a sport and completely and utterly watch. I'm an Irishman. I don't even watch GAA half the time, so that'll tell you. So for me, I would want to do that, and I'd like to see it kind of go that route and just take the power away from broadcasters and give it to those that will look after the football, but make it, you know, doing showcases on each team. You know, you could have Netflix Liverpool, Netflix, whatever like that. You know, that's the way I would see it.
It just really does my head in. I don't know how you feel, Nigel, when you've got like the likes of Neville, who likes the champion, whatever way the wind is blowing. I agree with some stuff, but then he contradicts himself massively half of the time as well.
Yeah,
like he should be a champion. Him and Cardiff should be on Sky Sports every single week going. These tickets, like the subscriptions for everyone's Sky Sports, are far too much. Like, you've got these big, massive companies making massive profits in terms of and you got a cost of living crisis as well. I know everyone goes, oh, just cancel your Sky Sports subscription or cancel your Netflix. Start saving money here and there as well. But it's the lifeblood of in UK anyway, like football and even the world football. It's difficult because, bloody hell, if you cancelled everything, you'd have nothing to watch. You wouldn't even have, you have to pay for your bloody what is it, your TV license and everything. They were knocking on your door. I don't watch it, mate. I only go on the internet or YouTube and that.
What you said earlier on there about the Saudi League kind of taking over, but you've got to look at in 1992, Sky and the Premier League, as it became, basically ditched the lower leagues. They kind of stabbed them in the back, and you know. And then when they tried to do that Super League last year or the year before, it was the same thing that Sky and the Premier League did to the Football League, is what they were trying to do as well. So, you know, it's just the next step. These Saudi guys, the next step to kind of stabbing everyone in the back, if you know what I mean. I do agree with you. Like, I've never had Sky ever. These prices are extortionate.
Yeah,
agree with the lads on the jerseys as well. We'll probably, like I said, you might do something on that, and I'd like to take part. But you know, football is grand if you've got money.
Mm.
Like if you have money in your pocket, you can watch football on the telly. If you don't have money in your pocket, you might as well go down to the park with a ball and kick it around on your own, because you ain't seen it without money.
It's going to very much alienate sections of football fans in general in modern society anyway. But yeah, go Kev, read out a great point by Rory.
My opinion is that the Saudi Arabia thing big, and it's not about sports. They will buy another European football they will buy another European football club, I'd say, in over 10-20 years. It's about accepting Saudi, Abu Dhabi, or look, I totally agree with that. I think they're going to come in, they're going to get involved in football clubs over here and whatnot, and you're probably going to see very similar to what you see with the American baseball and American football and basketball, where games are shifted over to England, and there's a couple of games done there just for the fans and stuff like that, which is fair enough. You could potentially see a couple of games like that in the future being shifted over to the Saudi Arabia League and do that. But the thing is, they've gone about it a different way, whereas they've kind of the PIF have just kind of decided, right, maybe we can't kind of control the football now, but what we can do is probably bring a spectacle to our country, which is, bring these players over, aging players or players that have just been forgotten about, or players that are not going to get their big move or whatever like that. But yeah, look, there'll be major involvement from the Saudis, from the Qataris, and all of these guys coming into the leagues because they have the money, and money talks, and eventually they'll have ownership in it. But as long as they stay true to the football when they do it, and they don't make it about how big their wallet is, and oh, look at me, I own you guys, and you need to do all of this for me now. As I said, and I've said it a million times, if you own a football club, I should never hear or speak your name. You should be just there for the fact that you love the club and you want to invest in it, and I should just be able to thank you at the end of it, or tell you, no, you did whatever. But that's my opinion on owners. I think they're there for a reason. If they're going to be owners, be an owner. And if you want to be an active owner, I mean, you have to look at that poor fella that passed away in Leicester. He was beloved by his club, and he was a really good owner, and he was good for the club when he was thereabouts. It didn't. After he passed away, they kind of went to shit. But you have to look at that kind of thing. If you're going to be an owner like that, be an owner like that. Don't be one that
like a Mike Ashley.
Mike Ashley, I was about to say, a prime example of a Newcastle owner who wants to be one of the lads and sitting there drinking pints and the whole lot, when, push comes to shove, doesn't invest in the thing and just wants to take the majority of profits that he can out of the club while just barely maintaining it, so he could fund other projects of his. So that's the way I don't want it to happen. I don't see FSG as that yet, because FSG haven't taken a profit out of the club in quite a long time, and they won't do until the club is profitable again. So that's why I'm not kind of on the FSG bandwagon, but that's my club. But you got all of this to do with, like, you got the Glazers now at United as well that are trying to, they're not giving up the stock.
Mention there, Kev. It's a great point that Rory's alluded to there.
Yeah.
Do you think they've stumbled across something in the Premier League, lads? It is no surprise that a majority of these Saudi teams are bidding for a lot of Premier League teams. I think, obviously, for that part of the world taking over Paris Saint-Germain, they've absolutely struggled. Like, they anticipated to walk into the Champions League and win it within the first 5 years, and that didn't really happen. For me, the way I look at it, I think they will eventually sell Paris Saint-Germain a couple of years down the line anyway, and reinvest that into a Premier League. I don't know the legal ramifications, boys, but I think there's everyone, like, that part of the world, the ones, and even the rich Americans now, you all want a slice of the pie. They're all going into these board meetings, or every billionaire knows one another. And it's like, oh, what have you got in your portfolio? Oh, I've got Manchester City, I've got Liverpool, I've got Arsenal as well. Do you think it's a case in point that a lot more of the Saudi-based teams will be bidding? Do you think there's something in the background potentially? I think there's not something dodgy, but not like there's any laws in the current climate in football. But I think there's something staring behind closed doors that we're not very well advanced in. I find out in like 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, for me, with the Saudi, they picked the wrong team to go to in Paris Saint-Germain. Really, the wrong league to go to if you're going to boost the league and try. I mean, it was an easy picking for them. Let's go buy a French team for fairly cheap, buy superstars, bang them in the team, and then they'll just walk the Champions League or whatever. And they haven't, and it's great having superstars that can play against farmers every week, and teams that let's call a spade. And the next one or two best teams in France are probably not beating our mid-table teams in the English Premier League. It's just the way it is, and you can't just take that and put superstars in there, because they begin to win. They begin to lower their standards in football. They begin to, not compete at the highest level in their own brain. Then when they go in against bigger teams in the Champions League, they're getting, they'll have two good wins if they turn on the flare, but then the rest of the time they don't turn up. You can't create passion out of emptiness. You can't create passion. You can't create history out of nothing. I mean, the only reason that I see Man City become the team that they have now is because they're based in the Premier League, and because that league itself is such a passionate league that no matter what happens, it oozes from one club to the next, no matter what game by game.
But even they haven't come from the Maya.
No.
They've come
No,
from
they
the main
haven't.
road days. They
They
had a
have, yeah.
very good core. Like,
They have.
I know everyone in the Premier League was included. We joke about it, but they still had a tremendous fan base that goes away, and they had like 30-odd thousand still in League Two at that
Yeah.
time. So it's not a case in point. Like they've not come, as you said, there made certain clubs that have. Paris Saint-Germain, I know they've had a kind of history, but the top team in French football is Marseille and a couple of the other teams as well.
Yeah,
Saint Etienne as well, winning the European Cup. So
Lyon.
It's Lyon as well. So like, even when they've got their back and no boys as well. But we'll get to all these comments as well, boys, and we'll rehouse as well. I want to speak on, I don't know if you lads and Chas, obviously the talk in the 2030 World Cup is that, of course, Saudi Arabia potentially could be hosting the World Cup. It's up in the air at the minute, but obviously with Qatar just finishing the World Cup 6 months ago, a couple of months ago, sorry, that's where they want to be hopefully getting, and they will get it, of course. Hence where that money is coming from, as we know. In 5 years, European football and English football will still be at the top level. Nobody grows up as a fan of a Saudi club, and it won't change. It will take 200 years, and even that is not happening as well. When you're paying BT to watch your team 2 to 3 times a month, also Sky 2 to 3 games, it can cost 10 to 15 per game as well. And if I would come from Bry, a new league full of new money going out and making a splash as well. And even in there, Henry, I don't know how you lads feel about obviously the potential hosting of the 2030 World Cup of Saudi Arabia. Thoughts on that, lads?
Qatar did a good show of themselves. I think it was one of the best World Cups we've seen in a long time. In stating that, money is going to talk, lads, and these countries are going to get to host it now. It's probably going to be another winter World Cup again. So 10 o'clock matches in the morning and stuff. I didn't mind that, actually. So I didn't mind how the World Cup panned out this time around.
I was doing 4 streams a day.
Yeah, you were, yeah. So it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Was it 1 o'clock? And then, at 4 o'clock. And, there was a good few games in the day, and I didn't mind that.
After that, I was knackered.
Yeah, it's tired. So, look, I don't mind, man. Look, as long as they do the football justice, I mean, everybody was worried about it going to Qatar, and it turned out to be one of the best tournaments in a long, long time that I watched anyway. I completely enjoyed it. I think the VAR was done really well there. I think the refereeing was fairly spot on. I think they did the best that they possibly could. But, everybody, the only thing that ever overshadows the football thing is people's differences in where they live and where they don't live. So if we live over here and you don't like some aspects of what they do over there, and they don't like some aspects you do over there, that becomes a topic rather than the football. I said it in my chat yesterday, people were bringing up all of this. So is Henderson going to wear his rainbow laces when he goes over? I think he's going to keep the same morals. He might be allowed to do it, but I think he'll keep the same standards and morals and just do what he has to do. It's just a stupid topic conversation to bring up because, you just respect the place that you're into. I mean, if I respect
you're going on holiday or whatnot.
Yeah, you respect their country, you respect their culture, you respect where they are, and you just respect that. It's very easy to respect it and do that. You can't turn around and just change people to your mindset and then expect them to say, "Okay, I'll do that." It's never going to happen. So. My thing is, let's keep it to the football, keep the politics and the religion and all of that kind of biased out of it. And I think you'll find that it'll be a lot smoother ride with regards to wherever country it's been hosted and wherever. And maybe you can go a match or two without having a beer if you're over there. It makes no sense. But look, to me, it's Saudi Arabia. If they can do just as good a job as Qatar, I think it'll be a fantastic World Cup.
Nigel,
Well, the thing I'm worried about is the announcement of the next World Cup. Gianni Infantino is standing up on the stage and he's going, "Next World Cup, Saudi Arabia, 1934, Saudi Arabia, 1938 or 2038, Saudi Arabia." I'd be really, it's just, you're just worried is it going to become a bit like that. I really hope not. That money is going to speak all the time because however good Qatar was and however good Russia was before that, it's money talking.
So we should do, Niall. We should get them all to have a World Cup over here and then they'll never want to leave. So to get the World Cup
Yeah,
over
right.
here, every 4 years, everybody come over here in the piss. So,
Are they going to fly? Are they going to fly over the stadiums?
no, it'll be just like the Eurovision Song Contest all over again, where we just try and pass it off to another country because we can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on the England hosting the Euros. Oh my lord, the disgrace of what was happening at Wembley. Anyway, that's why England fans can't have nothing nice. Big up there, Henry, as well. Big up Wiggs. Hope you're well, matey. Big up chat. Make sure you are smashing that like button as well. Massively, it does help out. I really do appreciate you all tuning in on this fine weekend. Obviously, with us being a small channel at the minute, we've got big plans, hopefully, but we know every single one of you will be alongside us every step of the way as well, part of the journey. You are part of the team, everyone in the comments. Big up there, big up Niall as well. More changes. Yeah, dig up there. I don't know what. Anything else that you want to speak about, Kev, in relation to obviously?
Yeah, but I mean, we got a few transfers happening, didn't we, this week in the Premier League? So Arsenal finally announced Declan Rice. Was a bit of paperwork went missing for a while, or something happened, or what was going on. But West Ham were getting fretful. West Ham were already out dipping to try and buy about 3 or 4 players on the Declan Rice money. So I think they were just like, where's the paperwork? Where's the paperwork? Bring it to me. But him and Timber eventually got over the line.
Yeah, I was going to say Paulinho potentially as well, Nigel. Do you think that'll be a good move? Obviously,
To who?
I think was it Arsenal? I think of it. Oh no, West Ham. No, West Ham. I think I have to quickly clarify that.
I'm just after seeing this. One of the lads after posting. Harry Maguire is considering his options after losing the Man United captaincy. West Ham lead interest in defender.
I think he'll do well at West Ham. Would you say?
I think so.
Under Moyes, I'd anticipate I'd want.
Well, if he gets a decent holding midfield player in front of him, maybe. But they'd have to have a fairly strong midfield in front of him because it's like the Keystone Cops. He's just all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm not sure he's going to be able to resurrect any career there anywhere because he's just such he's wrecked after all the years of just he was all right at Leicester. I do remember Mo turning him one time when he tried to get Mark Mo too close, and Mo just spun him. But I'm just not sure that he'll be capable.
He plays good for England.
Yeah, I suppose he's all right for England, but
United have ruined players. I mean, look what they did to Di Maria. Look what they did to to Fellaini. Look what they did to what's his name, Memphis Depay. Look what they did to Alexis Sanchez. Look what they did to there's something going wrong at United that changes the mindset of loving football. It's like it feels like that the whole team is just a job. It doesn't feel like that they're playing for any short. It always feels like that they have to do this and they have to do that, and if they don't, they're the worst in the world and blah. And it's felt like that for me for a few years. That for United and any players that they've brought in, it's never worked out because they haven't been able to change the mindset yet. So like it feels like United need a big culling in whatever player or whoever's running the show or whatever's going on. And I get it; they're all blaming the fans are blaming the Glazers, and the managers blaming players, and then players blaming each other, and it's a never-ending, And even when they do get a small bit of joy, it's swiftly lashed out by like a 4-1 loss or a 7-0 loss or
a vicious cycle.
Yeah, or vicious cycle, So yeah.
Just back to Paulinho there, Jack, for a second.
Yeah.
What's the I saw somewhere out today that it said something about 90 million.
I don't think it'll be that much. I think obviously it's getting talked about with TalkSport. TalkSport don't really trust them too much, but in relation to obviously Paulinho, as you can see, the reports were supposedly reports from TalkSport anyway. Whether you want to gauge too much on that, really, mate, but
he's a good player.
Yeah, very good player. I think that the fee is in the region of supposedly 40 to 50 million.
Well, that'd be okay. I wouldn't mind going for him at that.
Yeah. Another team I wanted to mention as well, lads in the chat, let us know. I might put a couple of quid on Aston Villa. getting at least
Top
top
four.
four this season. If you look at obviously Jeremy Doku here, as Brazil was speaking about a couple of hours ago, exclusive Aston Villa have included Jeremy Doku in their shortlist for new wingers as an option in case Moussa Diaby deal won't happen. Prior to remains Diaby after the 35 million plus add-on bid was rejected. Aston Villa will bid again for sure. Doku, another name being explored. Kev, the pull of Unai Emery is by every single week that progresses over the last couple of it's getting better for me.
Yeah, look, he's turned around. We said it ourselves in the last second half of the season. Besides maybe ourselves.
Oh no, Wiggs. Sorry, there, Wiggs is being on go, but lads, it was a good. It sounds like you've had a good weekend. There we go.
But yeah. Look, it's besides ourselves in the second half of last season, Aston Villa have probably been the most improved team in that second half of the season. They're just barely less points than us in that period. But yeah, Unai Emery's just he's just done wonders there with them, and if you can just build on that, then you can see him, because I think that they'll replace maybe Brighton in these positions next season. And the likes of them, because you look up, and Brighton do tend to kind of turn over good players and stuff like that. But I just think they've gotten their peak of really good players at the moment. If they lose Caicedo and Alexis McAllister in the same window, then they'll drop down, but they'll still be mid-table and whatnot. Probably switch with Chelsea's position, but a lot of people had them like to go for top four and stuff like that. You can't go for top four and lose your best players the following season. It just doesn't happen. And I can't see. I can only see the likes of Aston Villa getting strong. I can only see the likes of us being stronger this time around. I think Newcastle will drop out of the top four, mainly due to the fact that they've recouped, but the majority of their players are not used to playing the European football, the domestic cups, and the league at the same time. I think they'll struggle. I think Arsenal haven't really improved, and I think they can fight on all fronts of top four, maybe even go for the league again this season. But I still think that they haven't done it in a number of years, and it's been quite a while since they've done it. So it might be a teething season for them, league wise. But I think they can still make the top four, just because of the signings that they've made and the recruitment that they've done. I think we can get top four again. I think Klopp can get us fighting back to our best, but I still think we need one or two more signings to get in to do that. I think United stayed pretty much still last season, and I think because of the weaknesses of everybody else around them, I think that they just kind of looked, their league position slightly false, if you want to ask me, especially with some of the losses that they've taken and all of that. I think we took far too many draws and a couple of losses in a row. It just wasn't great for us. So, and I think Spurs are just in the mud. So for me, I would, if I had to pick a top four, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and you have to choose then to try and go between, will Chelsea improve enough with the amount of signings that they've made under Pochettino? Can they do it? Or can Unai Emery surprise everybody and get them into the top four or whatever? I still think they're not going to be quite there yet. But yeah, I'm going to say maybe Chelsea or United in that last position. So because I haven't seen where United have improved. Like, who have they signed? They've signed nobody and they're losing players.
Yeah, they're definitely not improved in the goalkeeping position.
No, not at all. So I don't understand what they think they're going to do next season. And are they going to hope that Liverpool, Chelsea, who else was there? Wolves were brilliant the season before that. West Ham were better the season before that. Are they going to hope that all of these teams again are going to drop off and have a second season in a row where they're going to be completely dropped off, and then they capitalize on it by just being mediocre? Because they finished 13 points off where they were the season before, and but they did get a League Cup out of it. So I don't understand where, I mean, Jesus, we won a League Cup with Jonjo Shelvey and all of these kind of people in the team, So I don't see where they're going to improve really. So that goes. I think Liverpool are back in contention to be, if we start early and fast, we're back in contention to be pushing City and Arsenal in those top 3 spots. And yeah, we'll see. But
Nigel,
yeah, look,
I was going to say, Nigel, in terms of Villa. Sorry there, Kev. Oh, did you?
No
Yeah,
problem.
finish, Kev. Yeah, I was.
no, I'm reading what you put up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, just get Nigel's thoughts on obviously Villa, and then if you want.
Yeah, I think you were right about the Unai Emery thing. He's a good draw. Not sure about Pau Torres. He's a decent player, but just might struggle a little bit with the pace of the Premier League, I think. But then he has to be better than some of the lads that are playing with Villa at the back. Yeah, Tyrone Mings, not so sure. But I like that. I was going to say to you, I wasn't sure about how Newcastle are going to do. I don't think they've recruited particularly well with all that money. But that one there is an interesting one.
Yeah. I was going to say, a bit of a mad one if this actually come off, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a very good player.
I'm going to call him Skellier. I'm not going to pronounce the rest of it.
Yeah. He's a very good player, very, very tricky and quick.
Yeah.
He would be a good sign. I think Newcastle, for all the wealth they have, their drawing power is not exactly. Eddie Howe is not exactly a big draw, is he?
No,
But I think that might be a decent signing for him, though. Other than that, I'm not so sure about Newcastle. They might struggle with the Champions League and everything. They remember they had it before, and they ended up with 2 of their own players fighting on the field. David Batty and.
You mean Dennis? No, not no, it wasn't Dennis. It wasn't Dennis. It was
he couldn't fight his way out of a white paper bag.
what's his name? Batty and it'll come to me.
Lee Batty.
The one on the one show would beat him up.
Dennis was. I think him and Jermaine Dennis look exactly the same. The guy he's talking about. I thought they were always like the same.
Oh, Kieran Dyer.
Kieran Dyer. That's it.
Kieran Dyer.
Yeah,
we got there. Yeah. I can't see that happening again, but I just, you know what I mean. It's just, I just think that Newcastle might struggle slightly, because of the Champions League, and the recruitment hasn't been exactly great so far.
How are they going to justify £82 million and the bank already?
They for me, lads, and Charles, let us know your thoughts. And I'm getting blamed for the titles as well, but there we go.
No, it was me, man, because I did it initially on the phone, and it came up with it was auto.
Oh, sorry.
And it was supposed to be Saudis with the other way around, but yeah. Right.
It's right. You've seen my titles over the years, chat. You know me. I can't even barely spell cast.
Is that supposed to be Rogue?
Yeah,
I know. It was Rouge.
Rouge.
Brian, you've had a mirror. You're correct. You're correcting us on the English, and you've spelled Rouge.
Yeah.
Jesus. Back to school for Brian.
But we got Wiggs as well. He's absolutely flat out up until Tuesday, he's saying. So, what was it? He's looking at Neverland.
Oh, wait, yeah. I heard a little birdie tell me there, the little birdie being Nigel, that I'll probably be meeting Wiggs for the first time as well in a few weeks.
Be good to see
you. I've met Wiggs twice.
Yeah.
And, we'll have a drink with you, Wiggs, and we'll contribute to another hangover for you.
Yeah, so I'm taking my son and my father-in-law, he's originally from Venezuela, my father-in-law. So he finally got his Irish citizenship after years of being here, and he's finally getting his Irish passport. So he's finally able to go to a Liverpool game. So I'm taking him over for his first Liverpool game and my young fella's first Liverpool game. For the West Ham game, so I'll be going to that one. So we'll meet up with these lads over there. So if anybody wants to meet up and you want to come into, I'll be doing some vlogs over there, and we can say hello.
So myself and Michael will be there the same day as well. So the same game. So
job.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a couple of bevies together. Even if I'm not going the game, I'll meet up with these lads anyway. So, and if anyone's going on the West Ham game, let us know. Drop us a message on socials, and we'll meet up.
Party out the back with Mike.
Oh yeah, don't. You'll be inviting everyone. That'll be literally everyone. You're all invited, big up there, Gary. How are we, matey? Obviously, the Premier League show. Speaking about the Saudis, speaking about everyone, really. I wanted to touch on what Nigel was saying there as well. Do you think as well? Pose it to everyone in the comments. Nigel's spot on. I think they need a big marquee signing. In all honesty, because European football, I've got a load of Geordie mates, and they're absolutely fuming. They're still fuming over, obviously, us nabbing Szoboszlai anyway, but their fans are extremely disgruntled that they haven't bought in a big player. Obviously, I think St. Maximin, speaking about the Saudi League as well, I think he's been linked with probably the owner's best mate or whatnot. Probably just bought Alan St. Maximin. He'll be going for a big fee as well, by the looks of it. But yeah, it's going to be weird. I don't know how you feel, Kev or Nigel.
Yeah.
I still think Nigel's spot on in terms of they need to, because they will get absolutely an absolute pasting in the Champions League if they don't get.
But that's what I think it is. I think they're going to get schooled a bit in the Champions League. If they surprise us, they surprise us. But sticking to the norm and the status quo, you can see them just getting deflated from getting hammered in the Champions League, and that'll affect them coming in. And they might be lucky to reach Europe for the following season, but then they'll go ahead and probably do well in the league the year after that. When they start building on players. But this
unless they do this kind of loan, and these people going out to the Saudi league, will they start loaning people back? There was a rumor they might try and get Neves back.
Yeah,
on loan from the Saudi league. Could they do that? Could they do that with several players?
That makes no sense for the Saudi league, though, in comparison with the whole point is to have the flair players down to show them off to the public and whatnot. Yeah. Why would they want to own the players' contracts and then send them back? Never me apparently. Yeah. So it makes no sense to me for what's his name for like the Neves or anybody to be loaned back out of the league. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But look, we can all blame Ronaldo for all of this anyway, because he's the one that started all of this. Deciding to have a big fallout with United and then just go off with the big bucks to Saudi Arabia. Who saw that coming? We were like, why is he going out there? I know everybody's going out there. So, there you go. But look, the Newcastle, I don't think they'll make top 4 this season coming. They'll just struggle too much. The league or the Champions League will catch them in that ilk or in that because of the pressure of having all of these competitions at once. And I don't think they've recruited enough in the window so far to do. No, they've got plenty of time. There's still a month and a half left in the window, and they could probably recruit another 6 or 7 players before we know it. And then we're kind of going, maybe they could, drift back into, or maybe they'll do something. But you can't rebuild a team like that and not have some sort of a pre-season with them and just buy them in and hope for the best, as they go along throughout the season. So, no, look, for me, I still think that unless Arsenal really give it a go in the Champions League, it will hinder them for the league, I think, again. Being out of cup competitions and stuff like that sometimes I'm
hoping they're distracted, Kev, and
I'm hoping as well, yeah.
Like as Nigel said before, their man Newcastle really. We've for the last 3 years, 4 years have listened to rival fans and speaking to our lads last week as well, and even they said themselves in terms of it's what every top coach does, protecting the team. It comes off as excuses, but in all honesty, the modern day football managers, the amount of games that they do play as well. Nigel, in terms of Tonali as well, he is a lot of one that is very much in recent weeks got a lot of fanfare. A lot of social media content was getting consumed last week in relation to when they announced him, and obviously the facilities look like as certain sections of his family looked like they were a bit disappointed, and he looked like he was a bit. For me, that was a weird transfer. For me, that was almost a case in point of I don't know if he's a Milan lad, but he very much he was happy, content. That's what we've all said about Italians. They're very homely people. They love the family and everything. But for me, I think that was just a case in point of the club of just Milan are that desperate for cash. They accepted it, and they're just not really if you read into a couple of articles, and whether you believe them or not, the lad didn't even want to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, he seems like a bit of a second string signing. If I was signing somebody from Milan, I probably would have gone for your man Leao. He seems a better player, but we've had this discussion before, I think a couple of times. Successful Italians in the Premier League. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Attitudes. It's all about attitudes and pace. Because the Italian game is a little bit slower and a little bit more laid back. You got more time on the ball. You just don't get that in the Premier League. He could be a success, but there are 3, 4, 5 maybe real top class Italians. Gianluca Vialli could have played anywhere in the world. what's his name? Oh, Jesus. Di Canio.
Di Canio, yeah.
Di Canio and Zola. That's about, Ravanelli for a season or two at Middlesbrough, and then went to Derby and kind of didn't do an awful lot there.
Can't get Mario Balotelli.
Yeah, for Man City.
Yeah.
Was Stefan Aranio was Brazilian, wasn't he? I think.
Andros Jusena.
Yeah, great goal, yeah. Yeah, he was great for a week.
Yeah, what a week that was, man. So
yeah, I'd be really worried about signing Italian players. They're like class players, but you got to be signing like a Pirlo or somebody like that. Tonali, I'm not so sure. He could be good, but I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, Kevin on mute, Della.
Who's the, like, for me, I used to love Paolo Di Canio. I thought they were great flair players in that time. Zola was a peach of a player at Chelsea. He's the type of player that you'd always want to play. So if you got a player like him in the ilk, there's very few Italian players that make it in the Premier League. Yeah. Very few. And my two favorite non-Liverpool players in the Premier League, Gianfranco Zola and Dennis Bergkamp. Two class acts. Yeah.
I wish I was at an age to really appreciate. Well, I've seen the documentaries and I was a young lad. Was Henry. What a player as well. Bergkamp as well. That classic commentary. Dennis Bergkamp. What a
I think Jack is trying to rub it in there a small bit. He's talking to us about Thierry Henry, isn't he? Yeah. Thierry Henry isn't too well liked in Ireland, Jack.
No.
I like him as well. Anyway.
He's an unbelievable player, but he's a cheat.
Yeah, massive cheat. Yeah, Leah. And just off topic, I think he done a video today. I don't even see it, chat. He was talking about obviously the Premier League Hall of Fame, and I think he's already inducted, as we know, Thierry Titty. He was talking about Steven Gerrard, it's saying, and the presenter was sarcastically smirking. I'm guessing the presenter was a Manchester United fan, smirking that Gerrard didn't win it, the Premier League, and Titty was saying he was the greatest ever player, and he was. When he was speaking about it, I love when you listen to Thierry Henry. He explains himself so well, and he just would you say, Nigel, like, Kev, those players have very much died when you just listen to him and he enjoys it. Like, he gets football. Not a lot of the modern day footballers now. You don't really get that sense that they live and breathe and really enjoy football. It's just a job to them. You
do with I see it with Roy Keane. You know, Roy Keane's another person you could turn around and say that, like, as much as he's a man, I was a massive fan of his because he was Irish captain. He was probably the best player we've had in history. I'd say nearly coming through our country. Besides, Robbie Keane was like the best striker in all Western European clubs at one point. He was the first kind of striker to hit 50 goals. But you had guys like that. You really handle it or talk so well. And Roy Keane's one of them. And he's got a bit of banter on the side, but he's really serious about his football. Niall Quinn was another good speaker when he spoke about football. Steven Gerrard's another one. As much as he does, of course, he still loves the game. You can see how much when he talks. Yeah, I know. Disappointed that he is gone to. But I'm not really. Look, Gerrard, maybe he's understood that the game is probably a bit ahead of him at the moment, and he's not caught up there yet. Then these chances, it's kind of, I wouldn't say easy. It's easy to go to Scotland and win the league with Celtic these days. It's kind of harder to go there and win it with Rangers. So you have to give him his props there for being able to do that, and especially to be the only title that they got in that period of time. And I'll give Jack over to this because this is great news, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. I'm amazed. Me and Kev were speaking about this before we come in here. Chat. I grew up watching Blue Peter, and he come across as a really sound fella. Like, I think it was him and Jake Humphries. I think both of them very much so coming through the school of the BBC, but doing like kid shows. And it's absolutely tremendous to see a fella like this get an opportunity. Obviously, if you've been away today, Jess, obviously he's been announced as the new main host of Soccer Saturday, taking over the legendary Jeff Stellan anyway. Well, here's something I never expected to be saying. Quote Simon Thomas, but next season I will be the new host of the iconic Sky Sports Gillette Soccer Saturday as well. But if you're not aware of obviously Simon's history, he does indicate in the last, it's been a very difficult period for him and his family. Ever since I stepped away from Sky in 2018 to look after Ethan after we lost his mum, to rebuild my career has not always been easy, but Sky always said the door was always open to me to come back. But this was never the door I expected to very much open. Lots of people have said I have some very big shoes to fill, but Jeff Stellan is one of them, an absolute master of his craft, incomparable. Also, all I can be is myself and be the best I possibly can as well. Lads, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
That's new to me. That's the first time I've seen it. And
Yeah,
I like him and I like his voice. He's a very, very good. He's had a rough the last few years with his wife passing away. And I like him. Now, if they can get a decent panel as well, it would be massively helpful. He's a good choice.
Yeah, Jack said it to me earlier that Simon Thomas is going to be doing it, and I was like, "Who's Simon Thomas?" And it's going on until I saw his face, until I saw the picture, and I had to look it up and I seen it. Yeah, that's a good choice. I always enjoyed him on soccer and Sky Sports News, and I've always enjoyed. I didn't really see him much on Blue Peter.
I don't know, chat. You probably know all lads. I think he did host. I think it was a Snookers or the Darts at that period as well. I think he was one of the main hosts of one of the.
I can't remember what he did. No, but he's very good. He's got a really, really nice, clear voice.
Yeah.
No messing, you know what I mean? I think he'd be very good.
He's not one of these presenters that have got a massive ego, really.
No.
In terms of, he's absolutely sound fella. Like, he comes across really well, and he enjoys it really. You watch certain hosts, and it's almost a case of point. It's like, oh, they're doing it, but
robotic.
Yeah, he comes from a very much footballing family as well.
Norwich City fan, I think.
Yeah, massive Norwich City fan. So, yeah, for me, lads, as well, and chat, let us know your thoughts. I think he couldn't have picked anyone better, really. Yep. I'm just happy that it's not a YouTuber, because it should be for someone like him that has worked his absolute backside off. And we spoke about certain other managers in football as well, just people, and we spoke about the Saudi League, so a league that just turned up, and not just a presenter that's turned up over the last 12 months. Simon has been at the craft of presenting for a very long time, and he deserves the break, very much, him and his family, and hopefully it's the start of very good things to come for him, mate. So it's really, I love nothing more than seeing people get an opportunity like this, like another big opportunity. It's really great for me, I reckon.
Brian Morrissey made a good point there about Michael Beale, Gerrard being kind of like the Buvac brain for Klopp. But that at the end of the day, we still won everything without that dude. But Michael Beale, apparently, it's true. He's true what he says. Like, Gerrard hasn't done anything since they parted ways. It makes you think why he didn't bring him with him, and who's he got there now? Gary McAllister, and you see the problem with having old school ilk and of the old school ilk, I should say, on a bench in your team is just great, and there's discipline, they teach you the ways and stuff like that, but there's always a laziness daddy factor about having old school, because these guys used to drink back in the day when they were still playing. They used to do this and that, and sometimes you need to get a bit more modern in who you bring into the club, especially with modern type players, because they're influenced by different things these days. So it's forward thinking that you need, and it just kind of goes to show when you had Michael Beale kind of taking over, which is it really does show a point that your Gerrard can be all in all of who he is, but if you don't have a good team around you, you're nothing, and it's proven that when they Brian is spot on there with that.
Yeah, 100% there, Kev. And as we spoke about Jurgen Klopp as well, hence why he's been so successful at our football club in relation to, was it the classic saying? Could probably be done completely butchered anyway, but you're only as good as your parts, like into a team or whatnot. Like, it's all about what makes you the team or your squad or whatnot. It's a closing point here by Wiggs. Great shout as well. Completely won that not went under the radar, but completely passport. As much as anyone, if you watch Sky or whatnot, Sky Sports, tremendous appointments, Nigel, in relation to Peter Drury. He's a poetic, the master of his words, a bit like our mate Owen from Cop On. There's certain people that you just love to listen to. Owen, if you watch him, you are one of them as well.
Yeah.
And Peter Drury as well alongside him. Imagine a duo of those two on commentary, mate. That'd be tremendous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a good appointment, because normally when Sky was on the last few years, I'm a subscriber to LFC TV, and I'd normally turn down the sound on Sky and turn on the sound on my PC on the Liverpool channel and listen to Steve Hunter. But I would listen to Peter Drury rather than that. Oh God, I don't know what to call him.
Tyler.
The dinosaur.
Rather listen to Mr. Tyler.
Yeah,
We'll
Mr. Tyler, yeah. They were just look, for me, that's the signing of the summer on TV anyway. Peter Drury, no matter what transfers after happening left, right, and centre, it doesn't matter. Peter Drury coming up the Sky is probably one of the best things I've seen. And heard. It's only going to lift. I'm just hoping that that station doesn't break him or his spirit. I hope he stays the same and
he don't control him too much.
Yeah, just let him do what he does, and that's it. Like, you know, so we all love him for what he exactly is right now, and to have it on Sky each week is only going to make him. We'll talk about him in 30 years' time again when he's retiring and he's a legend. You know, it's just that's just the way it is. You know, we're sick of the old guard that was in there, and hopefully, like, you know, I'm thinking that it mightn't even be the only signing of this kind of window with regards, you know, Peter Drury. I think you might see another couple of commentators coming in that people seem to like.
I like Alan Smith. Do you like Alan Smith?
He was okay. He was very soft spoken, and he gets to the point really well. And he was a bit annoying at the start, but then, you know, he calmed down a bit, you know. So it's kind of like Gary Neville, a bit nervous when he started off, but then you kind of quite like him as he went on in it. And then, you know, he became a bit too woke lefty, and now he needs to step back a bit. You know? Yeah.
There's a few guys there now that are just, the commentary levels have just gone down over the last few years so bad. I mean, Jermaine Genius, God damn it, he's useless.
I was going to say, that Champions League final, Nigel, was shocking. Like, I listened to that commentary, and that was some of the worst commentary I've ever heard in my life. Like,
he hates Liverpool.
Yeah, it's all right for us to get giddy, like when we're doing commentary, but they're representing a big company like BT or the new channel.
But McManaman is diabolical as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's terrible. Tim Sherwood is terrible. I'm trying to think who else.
Ali McCoist is okay. I like Ali McCoist. He's okay.
McCoist is good. I like McCoist. Yeah, I don't mind McCoist at all. I think he's.
I don't mind Ray Houghton. I think he's pretty good. Yeah, but he's better than Jim Beglin anyway.
Well,
yeah. I know there's a few out there that I like and dislike as well.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a boring commentator, isn't it? Just kind of like sauntering through the game and not creating any atmosphere. And, you know, you might as well listen to an oldies radio station in the corner, you know. Whereas when you listen to how much Peter Drury can sing and laugh and how the words, when you get that, man, it's just, you know, it's to be a commentator is to be an actor, to be a performer, is to be an MC. It's a craft, man.
You want these guys who are going to have the show, like the South American guys with the goal thing, or you want the commentator grabbing his analyst by the neck and shoving him up against the glass, going, "What did you say that?" That kind of thing, you know what I mean?
I love the lads on LFC TV as well. John Aldridge and the other fellow.
Steve Hunter, brilliant. Steve Hunter's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I do miss the final closing point as well, chat. It was what they used to do years ago? They were ahead of the time. Was it when you had the two fans in the commentary?
That was brilliant. Fan zone.
Fan
zone.
That was like 20 years ahead of its time. I'll tell you that now. That should have kept that. That would have been absolutely amazing.
Why? Then we wouldn't be able to do anything because everybody would be watching that. There'd be no watch-alongs. They'd be all watching them boys, you know. So yeah. No, thank you, Fanzone, for ending and giving YouTubers a chance. We appreciate that.
Micheál Murray they want.
Oh, yeah, Jesus. No, if he was still alive, no, but he just passed away recently, in the last year or so, wouldn't it? He just passed away, he retired.
No, he retired a few years ago, but I think he's still alive.
He retired. I thought he died soon afterwards.
No, I don't think so.
But
one of the great Irish commentators, Jack. My God, he was fabulous. He'd tell you what your man had for his breakfast while he's running with the ball up the middle of the field. He was fantastic.
What's the I've seen a video this week as well, lads, in terms of the there was a couple of very good Irish presenters, like quite old, but like they have arguments live on telly. The classic sports like programs anyway.
Don't they just fought with everybody?
No, it's I think no, it's it, but it's I'll probably try and find it anyway. But lads, I think we will conclude here, Kev.
He's alive. He's 92. Sorry, no, he's alive. He's 92.
Yeah.
It was the other guy I was thinking of. It was he did a bit of racing as well.
Oh, Michael O'Hare.
Yeah, I think so.
Michael O'Hare, yeah.
Yeah, he did recently. Yeah,
he died in 1990.
No, this is another guy. This he died recently because they were talking about it on the radio in the last 6 or 8 months or something. I my mind went straight to him because I didn't hear the name. But no, he's 92, still kicking.
92 years, a great man. Met him twice.
Yeah.
Great man.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jack. We were doing an outro of some sort there, were we?
That was right. That was just me trying to think of the Irish commentators. I'll find it after the show, chat. But a massive thank you, Nigel, Kev, everyone tuning in. Of course, sorry, it's a bit all over the place at the minute as well, chat. Me and Kev will very much be. I need to kick up the backside as well. Mainly me. I'll organise all the scheduling for the shows and weeks to come anyway. With Kev behind the scenes. So what I'm hoping, all three of us are hoping anyway, me, Kev, and obviously the other Kev, in terms of scheduling as much as we possibly can. So you know, like 2-3 weeks in advance anyway. And then obviously Kev's quite well advanced, aren't you, mate, with the Discord. If you want to join that, the Kitmen Discord as well. But yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Mainly, Jack, is because the only thing that kind of paused a little bit is because it's not been kind of out there yet, but we've kind of been sponsored in a way by a hotel chain here in Ireland. And what they want me to do is that one of the qualms or one of the proposals on the table to do it is that we host one of the shows a week in their venue there, which is what we're going to do. And there's going to be a camera crew. It's going to be similar to what it was like on Soccer AM, where we get everybody in their jerseys and stuff like that. We've got a few people involved to try and get that sorted. And we're just going to do kind of like a kick-off, kind of overlap, crossover thing where we talk to guests and people, fans, and we get the fans, viewers, we're talking to them, we ask questions and topics. It's like doing a live YouTube channel, but with real people there. But you just have to keep until we ask them a question. That's about it. But look, it's going to be good, lads. It's going to be once a week, and it's going to be pretty cool. But it's it's going to help us promote the channel a good bit. As small as the channel is now, but they know us as individuals, as me, as Kevin, and Jack, and Anfield Road TV. They know us and what we do, and they love it. And they think this idea is really good to get on board with pretty quickly. So that's what's happening going forward on here. So, but anyway, Nigel, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Nigel, hopefully we get you involved in those live shows. It'll be good. We'll definitely try and get you down as much as we can. And anyone watching from Ireland as well, you're very welcome to pop down, even if you're not a Liverpool fan. Because
it's a all Premier League show.
Yeah, so everyone's welcome. But yeah, good crack as always. Obviously everyone enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening as well, chat. And massive thank you, Nigel, for popping on, mate. It's always good. Get you on very soon again, mate. And Kev, we'll just play us out and then play the credits. So
I'm singing a song, am I? Do I have to sing a song?
I don't know.
I'm gonna get a bit of music on. We'll do a bit of this now. We'll be hanging. Good luck, lads.
Yeah, bro.